right. First of all, I want to give some props to the Longhorns who made the Associated Press All Big 12 teams. You had 5 first-team members of the Associated Press All Big 12 team from Texas. Xavier Worthy made it as a all-purpose player and a wide receiver. So essentially, they're throwing in his punt return yardage, just kind of this. They probably looked at it as kind of the overall yards from scrimmage, and probably throwing his punt return yardage. And I mean, looking at it, hell, the guy throws for touchdowns still. So they probably just looked at all of that with Xavier Worthy. T'Vondre Sweat made it, and Byron Murphy both made it on the first team. No surprise there. First time since Casey Hampton and Sean Rogers that Texas had 2 interior linemen and defensive tackles that made the Associated Press all Big 12 team. Jalen Ford makes it as a linebacker, and Bert Auburn. Shout out to Bert Auburn. Had a hell of a year, man. I don't think anybody saw Bert Auburn finishing the year as consistent as he did when he started, because he started a little shaky, but he ended the season first team All Big 12 Associated Press. Also, the coaches picked him as the first team All Big 12 kicker as well. Quinn Ewers made the second team. Jonathan Brooks also made the second team. A.D. Mitchell makes the second team, and Kelvin Banks Jr. Man, Kelvin Banks didn't make the first team. That is, I got to go look at the entire team to see. But to think that there are 2 tackles potentially in the Big 12 that are better than Kelvin Banks.
No, there aren't.
That's basically all you had to do to kind of throw out that hypothetical. Is like, are there 2 tackles in the Big 12? Now, sometimes they don't do it just all based on tackle. They kind of pick the best 5 linemen. But still, is he not one of the best 5 linemen in the Big 12? Is he one of the best 5 linemen overall, in case they looked at it irregardless of position?
Yeah.
And if they looked at it like position, like they built an actual offensive line and constructed one of those for the All Big 12, is he not one of the 2 best tackles in the Big 12? And the answer to both are yeah. He's one of the top 5, and he's one of the best 2 tackles. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that happened.
I mean, the most accomplished Longhorns this year, obviously T'Vondre. We'll ask this question to you on the text line and to the Longhorn fandom.
He's Defensive Player of the Year also. Should have threw that out.
Yeah, T'Vondre Sweat winning the Outland Trophy. He's the most accomplished and best Texas defensive player since who? Is it Derek Johnson, who went into the College Football Hall of Fame last week? I mean, because DJ went to won the Butkus, went back to back first team All American in the early 2000s. But T'Vondre Sweat, Outland Trophy, first team All American on 4 different teams across the country from national publications. AP Defensive Player of the Year in the conference, first team All Big 12. Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, about as good as a lot. So since when? He's having that kind of year. But then Bert Auburn, Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, what an ad he was through the portal. And that's when people ask during the summer and the talking season, what's it going to take for the Longhorns to get back to playing meaningful games this time of year? And you need really good players playing really good. Being named All Big 12 this and All Big 12 that and All American this, and the Longhorns certainly accomplished that at least those goals here.
Yeah, I mean they haven't. No, I mean they haven't had a defensive player that's been that accomplished, having that many accolades. I mean Joseph Asai was good, but he didn't reach that type of status. I think you're right. E. You might have to go way back to Derek Johnson, which is pretty wild to think about. But I think you're right. I'm trying to think in my head. Nobody's won a national award like that.
Yeah, they haven't won an Outland since 1977, 46 years ago.
Any of the national awards, I don't think defensively Texas won since.
Well, and remember, you and I know this, having covered the program closely for so long. What happened to Texas after 2009 and 15 years of bad football was really the lines of scrimmage were the biggest problem. Right, and the consistency on the coaching staff, I believe. But quarterback took all the headlines because Mac, of course, missed on some QBs and a big name. But really what fell apart for Texas was that all the lines of scrimmage just weren't up to snuff and big picture. They had some pretty good skill players, but I know recruiting classes were ranked high, but it wasn't in the trenches. Steve Sarkisian, in a short amount of time, has addressed big humans, lines of scrimmage, beams.
So it's probably Brian Orakpo, too.
Okay.
He's in the conversation.
B-Rack, yep.
Because he won the Nagurski, he won the Lombardi.
Yep.
He's in a conversation. Earl Thomas should have won the Thorpe. Let's be honest, he didn't. I think Eric Berry
I would agree with that.
Year. He should have won it that year. but maybe it's Rack.
I think Rack. I think that's good,
It's
and
gotta be Rack.
that goes right along with what I was talking about.
Yeah, that's right. The timeline.
Right
That
to the
fits your
timeline.
timeline.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to veer off the path.
Yeah.
So yeah, your timeline's round the money there because he was a unanimous All-American.
But he
Yeah,
was drafted in 09 off that 09 team that played for the
So,
Natty.
I think it's Rack. But
And that's really
you're
when the
right.
lines of scrimmage began to dissipate. And I think Mac, his recruiting a couple years leading up to that 09 year, you could kind of see it starting to dissipate on the way he changed his recruiting style. But either way, so to credit to Sark and this vision
yeah.
of big humans, started with the offensive line and the Pancake Factory. You know, Bo Davis, just Sark, one of the first things he said, I think we have the best defensive line coach in the country that we're bringing in, and he's done it both on the recruiting and the development side.
People would say specify and say interior D-line coach.
Oh, yeah.
And they would say the best defensive end coaches at Ohio State.
Oh, yeah, there you go. With the
That's what-
Boses and Chase.
That's what the insiders would say. Yeah, he's the best interior D-line coach. But I agree.
And now
with you.
we'll see if now that you're going to add guys like Colin Simmons and Colton Bosick, and
Mhm.
they're chasing the kid from UTSA in the portal.
Oh yeah, Trey Moore.
There, because look, I mean, we got 3 weeks to the big game, the biggest game the Longhorns have played since 09. And a chance to go play for a national championship. But beyond that, we'll start talking about the future. And you're losing Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy and Alfred Collins. You got to replace that. The whole idea of this whole vision was to be built to go to the SEC.
Yep.
These guys are all going to move on, and they're not playing in the SEC. So you better.
They built the foundation. Now you got to start the pipeline.
That's exactly right. That's right.
They built the foundation. Now you got to build the pipeline with those young guys. And it's supposed to be a pipeline that starts with recruiting the best talent at premium positions, and then all ends in the NFL.
Yeah.
It ends right. It
That's
ends
exactly
with guys achieving at a high level in the league, and that's the pipeline. Then once you get that going, then you get to be Georgia, Bama, Ohio State. Then you compete in the college football playoff every year, which you should.
That's right. I mean, because Texas is going to get skill players, and Sark's going to get quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Can you win the trenches? That's the key in the SEC. I think we know that. I think Kyle Flood and Steve Sarkisian and Bo Davis know that very well. A lot of history in the SEC.
Yeah.
But you got to keep it coming. But now you have something to sell. If you're Bo Davis, when you're recruiting, man,
The
look
question,
what we've done here.
Yeah, you're right. And the question will be, though, now that you have lost so much high-level talent in interior D-line. We were talking about this on the live stream with Bobby Burton last night. You, I, and Bobby, we were talking about it. And the interior D-line losing, Kendrick Coburn last year and losing Moro Ojimo and now losing Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy. Are the coffers full still of that kind of
Will
talent?
there be a transition, and it's going to be more that they and Jalen Ford. Let's not forget that Jahdae Barron. I mean, the central nervous system of your defense, as you call it. They're trying to upgrade safety, but man, the guts of it will not be here next year. And they've left a legacy though that you can build upon, the foundation as you talked about. All right, really good stuff. Yeah, good weekend for the Longhorns. Congrats to the Texas volleyball team too, Rod, behind the burnt orange curtain. How about Jared Elliott, another Final Four, avenging the early loss to Stanford. This was seen as a Texas volleyball team that, it took a step back, but now they're going to go play for a national championship. So you got the Longhorn volleyball team in the Final Four and the Longhorn football team in the Final Four. Pretty good fall.
I mean, honestly, Texas athletics has been doing great for a long time now. I think they've been kind of waiting on football to catch up with the rest of the crew. Volleyballs, I mean, you just talked about what Coach Elliott's been doing. It's been unbelievable. I've been waiting on the football program to catch up, and it looks like now the football program is going to be in the same conversations with those other programs as some of the best in the country. If that's the case, Texas athletics is about to hit a whole nother stratosphere.
Yeah, and how about this? Can I give a real quick shout out and the first burnt orange curtain? It was this past Friday that it was 6 years to the day that Chris Del Conte was named the athletic director at Texas. He's done a pretty good job. He's done a pretty darn good job. And I thought it was pretty funny on a tweet because I think it was CB, our man, who congratulated Chris Del Conte because he's the one that keeps up with that kind of stuff.
Yes,
6 years to the day, and CDC tweeted back or X'd back. He quoted Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Life comes at you pretty fast.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Right, it does. Yeah.
But so that things are going pretty good on the 40.
Adjust accordingly.